I apologize, everybody. I was muted. But like I was saying a little earlier, how's everybody doing today on this beautiful Sunday? I feel like it's been forever since we've had an Arizona Cardinal game. And I'm absolutely super excited about, Cardinal football back, man. Big shout out to everybody that's currently in the chat right now. Thank you so very much for being here. As always, I'm going to have a very good show, but we're also going to have a special guest here today, and that's going to be my guy, Joseph, the Cardinal Rule. What's up, dude, man? How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm good with Kylo and Nuke back. How can I not be good,
100%, man. This is a beautiful time, man. And obviously you had to open up the the show here being on mute. It's been a long time since I even been on a live stream as well, man. I took a little hiatus because obviously I have a baby and it's kind of difficult right now, but appreciate you for being on, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always good hanging out with you.
Absolutely, man. Well, go ahead and do me a big favor, man. Shout yourself out. Tell the people in the chat here where they can find you.
Yeah, thanks. If you don't already know about my channel, I have a YouTube channel called the Cardinal Rule. I launched it back in April, so I'm a little bit newer here, but have had some good success growing the channel. Just hit 2,000 subscribers in 8 months, so it's
amazing.
The work's paid off, and I've done some live streams with Mike before. So the best place to go is find me. There's a link below, the Cardinal Rule, on my YouTube channel. There's links to my other socials like Twitter and Instagram. But yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, talk some Cardinals football after this long bye week that we had off.
It definitely did feel like a long bye week, man. Honestly, it's super crazy. Before we get started here, obviously everybody's here to talk some Arizona Cardinals. I definitely want to go ahead and give a big shout out to my sponsor that I have here right now. I got to do my quick due diligence here right now. Let me just find my thing here real quick. Let me get my banner up, and then we can start talking about Cardinals versus Bears. Oof, I'm super stoked. Where's my background? Here we go. All right, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Hey guys, I have a friend of mine that runs a real estate business in Arizona. With how crazy the market is right now, this is going to be the guy that you need to contact, man. He does anything. He basically does cash offers. That's a lot higher than the market goes for at this very moment. So if you're looking to sell your house, this is going to be the guy here, man. I'll give it about 30 seconds for you to take a screenshot of this. His name is going to be Dayton Valdez. His phone number, email, all that is right there, man. A good friend and a good supporter of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. So definitely a big shout out to Dayton Valdez, man. All right, let's get started. Perfect. Appreciate you for letting me do that, man. Let's talk some Cardinals versus Bears. All right, let me get my banners up here situated because like we mentioned a little earlier, man, what are some things that what do you want to expect here? Or what do you think what's something to expect here? Cardinals versus Bears.
Yeah, this is a tough one because, is he going to be a little bit rusty? When we have quarterbacks who have some time off, we've seen that in the past. And then, the weather is going to be cold and kind of wet. So that adds to that. So I wouldn't be shocked if Kylo comes out a little bit, slow. The offense takes a little bit of time to get going. And as we'll talk about later, my score prediction isn't quite as high scoring as some of their other games, but I think they're by and large across the board a better team than the Bears. Yeah. So with Kyler and Nuke back, I still see a good win against a team that doesn't have a lot going on offense right now.
Right. Yeah, and I completely agree. It's so crazy because, man, we've been living in a world where there was a whole month where we didn't have our starting quarterback. Like, that's absolutely insane. I was always taking to Twitter every, Saturday night or Sunday morning. What's going to go on? What is Adam Schefter saying? What's happening? And I was always at the edge of my seat. And for some reason, I felt so optimistic that he was going to be back a lot sooner. But hey, man, like 2 out of 3 with your backup quarterback and Colt McCoy, like we couldn't make a better segue into after the bye week here. Now we have Kyler back. Now we have DeAndre Hopkins back, and we're getting healthier and healthier. And we're a 9-2 team. That's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, and it's funny. The Arizona Cardinals have a better record in November than the Rams, and we started Colt McCoy, and they had Matthew Stafford, the MVP quarterback, right? So it's been the story all year that no one's given respect to the Cardinals. Everyone's making excuses for why the Cardinals are actually winning, and as Watt says, maybe we're just better. Yeah. But while all these other teams are have fewer wins than the Cardinals or are trying to assert themselves for being the top team, this Cardinals team went 2-1 with Colt McCoy as quarterback and without their best receiver, and they continue to have the best record in the league. So, the disrespect is getting old, but, I'd rather be, David than Goliath. Let's be the underdogs. And it makes every win that much sweeter when we perform what people expect of us.
Yeah, I agree. And I do agree with what you're saying here. We might see Kyler Murray definitely be rusty. It's so crazy because I'm seeing a lot of fans going back and forth where, we had him sit out for, obviously plus a month. And a lot of fans were completely cool with Colt McCoy or Colt McCoy, whatever you want to call him, playing in there. But I've seen some comments out there saying Kyler should sit out unless he's needed. What do you take on that, man? I'll give you I'm glad he's back. Like, legit, I think this is the best opportunity for us to kind of get back into the groove of things, because I think, we were winning, the last 4 games, last 3 games. But honestly, truth be told, we need Kyler, man. Like, we need Kyler. That's when our offense is as explosive as it is. DeAndre Hopkins was missing a good amount of games as well. And I don't know. What do you feel about the whole situation where we have some fans saying, if we need Kyler, just bring him in, but start Colt?
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 competing perspectives here. There's the one side that says, kind of look towards the future. We don't want to get Kyler injured now, again, re-injure, the ankle and have him miss games that really matter. So if you can rest him and you've got a lead, in terms of the 1 seed and winning the division, and you can, keep him safe and healthy for later, there's some wisdom to that. And that's why they rested him for the last 2 weeks. But there is a point where you can't treat players like they're glass dolls, right? They have to get out there and play at some point. So when they're healthy enough, you have to get them out there and play. So the question is, where is he in that? Because if there's a high risk of re-injury, then you do sit him. But if he's at a point where, okay, maybe he's not 100%, but he's past the point where there's this high risk of re-injury, get him out there, right? Get that rust knocked off in a game against Chicago, so he's ready when he's going against the Rams and the Cowboys and the playoffs. I'm going to trust the doctors that they feel like he's at a point where it's safe to play him. So I was in agreement with sitting him the past 3 games, right? But I think it seems like he's at a point. Get him out there, let him get the rust off. If you want to go conservative with the offense to keep him a little bit safer, run the ball more, don't get him in this. Great, do that. But you can't treat him like a China doll forever, right?
Exactly. No, you're 100% correct, man. Honestly, when it comes down to the schedule, after this game, a lot of people might see this like the best opportunity for Kyler Murray to get the rust off, as you just said. After this game, we have a tough matchup against the Rams, which is going to be Monday Night Football, which I'm stoked about that. After that, we have the Lions. And then after the Lions, we have the Colts and the Cowboys, which seems to be very, very good teams that are trying to make it to the playoffs. Now, the last one is the Seahawks. Are we going to sit our starters? Are we having the number 1 seed secured? We don't quite know, but we got a stretch of very interesting games coming up. But obviously, let's focus on this Chicago Bears team, because I don't think they're a team that we should definitely be sleeping on. I do think that their defense is still very good. Yeah, Khalil Mack is out for the season, I believe, and it's a huge blow to that team. But who's a player, in your opinion, and I'll go after you, who's a player that we need to look out for in the Chicago Bears?
Well, I think David Montgomery is one key player. They're running back. I think he missed a few games, if I'm not mistaken, and they had the rookie Khalil Herbert that was playing, but he's back. He's active, and he's a solid running back. And we all know the Cardinals, probably their biggest Achilles heel has been their run defense. Right. So, I sometimes look at a game, especially a game like where the Cardinals are favored to win, and say, okay, what is the thing that has to happen for the other team to win? And for the Bears to win, what they need to do is they need to run the ball well, get some turnovers against the Cardinals, and Kyler needs to have a rough game, right? Coming back. So for me, David Montgomery's that guy, because if there's a game script that lets the Bears win, it's probably a heavy dose of David Montgomery.
That's true, man. I agree. That's been the situation that, it's been very upsetting to see when they're kind of gashing us in the run game. And Montgomery can definitely be that guy. For me specifically, I feel like one of their biggest X factors is going to be Darnell Mooney. I know one person that, a lot of people had their eyes on in the beginning of the season would have been Allen Robinson, but he's not having a good season at all. I'm not sure if it's just his connection with Justin Fields or Andy Dalton.
And he's inactive today. Robinson is.
Oh, whoa! I didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah.
well that's another thing for the Arizona Cardinals because we most likely will see a heavy dosage of Darnell Mooney, but they also have Goodwin, which is going to be a guy that's going to take it off the top.
Inactive also.
What?
Let me tell you. Okay, so let me tell you that. Yeah. Okay, so here's the inactives for the Bears. Okay, Allen Robinson, Justin Fields, cornerback Tease Tabor, wide receiver Marquise Goodwin, defensive lineman Akeem Hicks, and defensive end Mario Edwards.
Wow.
Yeah. So Mooney was the guy I almost mentioned though because he's on track for 1,000 yards this year.
Yeah,
right.
He's having a very, very good season, and I think it might be one of those situations that we might have Byron, we might have Alfred on him, but every time they're going to get an opportunity, he's going to get his yards, and I think that's going to be the guy that they're going to try to force the ball to when they're taking the throwing the ball because you're right, man. Montgomery's going to be the guy that's going to be toting the rock back there.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, and Cardinals side, just to fill out the inactives, Cardinals side, it's Andy Isabella, Trace McSorley, defensive back Jace Whitaker, and guard Justin Pugh. So the only player in there that matters is Justin Pugh being out. The rest are in healthy scratches probably. So that's so the Cardinals come into this game not only a better team but much healthier team.
100%, man. It's crazy because I know that the timeline of talking a little bit about JJ Watt, man. He might be coming back. I mean, maybe towards the end or maybe in the playoff run. What do you think about JJ Watt coming back?
Yeah, well, what I think is hallelujah, but if he does, because our interior defensive line needs him. I mean, that's been one of the weaker parts of this team, and he's he's obviously a key player there. I mean, obviously when the injury first happened, we all were like, oh no, he's done for the year, and then there was some talk, well, maybe he won't be done, maybe he'll just kind of try to rehab it and play through it. And now this seems to be somewhere in between where he's on IR and there's hopes that he's going to be back. He's going to work hard, and if anyone's going to do it, I think he'll do it. So I think, if you look at the big picture and you told me, okay, Watt's going to play part of the year, be injured, but he'll be healthy for the playoffs, I'd take that, right? Because that's when it matters, right? So if we get him back for the playoffs and this team holds on to the number 1 seed, I'll take that, man.
Yeah, and that's a real possibility, man. Obviously, we don't want to, jump too much. I mean, one game at a time is what we've been preaching all season long. But let's take a look a little bit deeper here into the Chicago Bears. I mean, obviously, right now they're 4-7. They were one of the teams in the draft that I always kind of had my eye on and saying, hey, we can be one of those teams to trade back with because obviously during the draft process, I wanted a cornerback so bad. But they ended up, making this big play and they ended up getting Justin Fields. I think that was a really good move. Honestly, I think it's a huge move. He probably hasn't had the best rookie season ever, but honestly, I think he's got some flashes and he's looking pretty decent. I actually put it on, I think it was Instagram or I put it on or Twitter saying something along the lines like, I'm actually kind of bummed out that it's not Fields versus Murray. Now, I know it's his rookie year and I'm talking about Fields, obviously, but I'm excited to see what this matchup is going to look like for years to come. We don't see each other very often, but I can see Fields becoming a pretty decent quarterback. Maybe not Kyler Murray caliber, but a pretty decent quarterback.
Yeah, Fields is. I will admit I have this one bias that makes me cautious about Fields, and that is Ohio State quarterbacks haven't been good. In fact, I'm really leery of quarterbacks from big college programs where they have all these studs around them.
Yeah.
Like think Alabama. Like Mac Jones looks like he's doing pretty good, but besides him, those Bama quarterbacks have struggled because look at all the receivers they're playing with that are all first rounders. So, but Fields does have some potential. I think the scouts have been really optimistic about what he actually does have to offer. He's had a rough year. He's got 4 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. So that that's been rough. But rookies are going to be that way, and this is not a great offense, not a good team. So Kyler came in to at least to an offense that had a few weapons in his rookie year. So yeah, it's been tough for him. I do think though, I think he's got some potential for the future, but with him being out, we're going to probably have more of a kind of a standard game. A player like Andy Dalton's going to try to just kind of drive the bus. But if Justin Fields were in there, it's going to be a little more, he would do better on those plays that go off script, kind of like what we saw with Trey Lance.
Exactly.
A little bit more like that. So which makes for a more exciting game.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think each quarterback between Dalton and Fields has a different way of playing. I like the Cardinals' chances with either one of them, though.
I agree, man. Let me give a big shout out to my guy Jordan P with the $1.99 donation. He says X factor is going to be Cole Kmet. To be honest with you, and he throws to him a lot. Now, I did pull up his stats here right now, and he's a tight end. Right now, he's been hanging out with 361 yards, no touchdowns, 37 receptions. What do you feel about him?
Yeah, he was a second-round pick, and the year he came out, last year's 2020 draft, I think he was considered by many people to be the best tight end in the draft.
Yeah.
Of course, the Bears, the year they drafted 2 years ago, they were had all these tight ends on the roster, and they just kept signing them and drafting them. So it was almost a joke with how many tight ends the Bears were accumulating. No, he's a good player. I think he's not a Travis Kelce level, an elite tight end. But I think he's a guy that, is going to develop into a top 5 to 7 tight end. When you've got an offense that struggles and doesn't have tons of weapons, that tight end could be a guy they look to. So he might be another guy to keep our eye on for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So I saw somebody in the comments here saying that, is this a must win for the Bears? And I think it's kind of an obvious answer there, right? I mean, it's a definite yes. I mean, they're sitting with 4-7 right now, but the way, how many games are left? Was it 6 games left in the season? They can still be a 10-7 team. Okay, maybe I'm sorry, 9-8. I'm sorry, they're not going to get the win against the Cardinals, but
right.
Exactly. So I mean, they could still very well, fight for a position, right?
Yeah. The way things are going in the NFC, not a 9-win team might get in with a wild card. A 10-win team is. We're probably going to have a few 10-win teams.
Yeah.
So if you're looking from the perspective of holding on to any fleeting hopes of the playoffs, it's a must win. If I were a Bears fan, I would probably not necessarily. I wouldn't have that much hope. I'd be looking at, okay, let's look forward to the draft, and do we want to jeopardize that draft position? So Hector's asked, did I miss the guitar show? Anyone who doesn't know my channel, I've got guitars on the walls. In fact, it feels like every live stream I do on my own channel, someone's asking when I'm going to play guitar.
When have you played at all, or are you just teasing people?
No, I mean not on the live streams.
Gotcha.
I've played since I was a teenager, but I do Arizona Cardinals. Let's just say this: I'm better at talking Arizona Cardinals than I am playing guitar.
There you go. Love it. All right, man. Well, cool. Well, I think when it comes down to, man, obviously, we all want the Cardinals to win. Coming back after the bye week, it feels like it's been forever since we've seen a Cardinals game. Let's talk about the Cardinals here real quick. Let me get this banner off right now. I know we talked about what to expect, but how do you think that this game's going to shake out? Do you think it's going to be a heavy dosage of run because Kyler Murray is, missed so many games, or do you think it's going to be Kyler Murray is just going to come back into the swing of things?
There's a part of me that could see them just wanting to kind of, come out both barrels blazing just to kind of make a statement. But what I hope is that they're going to run the ball, go with short passing game, play it smart, play it safe, keep Kyler healthy, and they can still put up a lot of points doing that against, this Bears team. So I'm going to say between the weather and Kyler being injured, I'm going to trust that they're not going to come out trying to show off, and they're going to come out trying to be smart. So I expect a lot more. I expect running, quick passes. When those long passes take longer to develop, that's when you get Kyler Murray in trouble. He has to scramble, and that's when he gets injured. So I think it's going to be a little bit like the Colt McCoy game plan: run the ball, quick passes.
I wouldn't mind that. And looking at the weather here in Chicago, of course, 37 degrees, raining. And that's not a spot where our Arizona Cardinals flourish. But hey, man, if we can get James Conner, man, his carries, I would be absolutely excited about that. Now, I'm not sure if you heard, but Chase Edmonds might be coming back on week 14. Obviously, speculations, sources say this, sources say that. But that's also another good thing for the Arizona Cardinals to come in to kind of spread the load back so James Conner doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick, want to throw a shout out.
Mhm.
A guy who supports both our channels, Mark Jackson's at the game. He's a channel member for
Nice.
both of us. So huge shout out to Mark Jackson. I know
Is
he's
he on
really
here?
good. He put a comment early. I don't know if he's still in the chat, but I know he's a big supporter of both of our channels. I know you appreciate him, and I know I do too. So.
Absolutely. Cool, man. Hopefully you have a big sweater, my guy, because I've been to Chicago before, and it is freaking cold. So it was like 3 years ago. So let's talk a little story here. So me and my wife ended up going to Chicago, and we were like, oh my God, the tickets are so cheap. Let's go in February. So we ended up going, and then we're like, this is so beautiful. The city is so nice. And it really was. So we ended up doing the very touristy things like we do. So we're walking downtown, and we got the phones in our hands, trying to take pictures and stuff. And I have a picture, like I'm ready for the picture, and my screen goes black. My phone freaking froze. That's how cold it was, man. And then we're walking to the Bean, which is only like 5 blocks away from our hotel. So I'm going in there like a ninja. So I'm out there with a ninja. All you see is just eyes and eyebrows. Right. That's all you're seeing. But like, my goodness, the piercing of the wind. Also, that Windy City comment is absolutely true, man. It's cold as heck.
I've been to Chicago, but it was a little more springtime, so I had a little bit better experience.
That's what they told me. When you come back, you got to go during spring or summer or spring more, because I think summer has its own like humidity that they deal with. But
did you try any of that world famous pizza while you were there?
I did. Honestly, I did. I liked it. I liked it, but I do like our pizza better.
Okay.
I know I'm not going to say that in Chicago, though. Of course, I was like, this is very, very good. Yeah. I was a lot more impressed by their hot dogs than I was by the pizza.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. They've got some good hot dogs, too.
Very, very good hot dogs. Yeah, let me give a big shout out to my guy, Red Sea, becoming a channel member. Appreciate you, my guy. Thank you so much for doing that. But yeah, let's go and take it to the comments here, man. I know we do have some predictions that we're going to talk about a little later on in the stream. You got your prediction. I got my prediction in. So let's take it to the comments, and let's see what you guys have. Also, Gabriel's already asking. Hold on, my guy. Hold on. We got your predictions coming on later on. Let's see here. What is... Not Mario says way too cold. We have Jaden saying Kyler Murray is back. Yes. We talked a little bit about it earlier in the stream, and we're absolutely super excited about it. Do you have any stats in terms of Chicago that we need to kind of, know about?
Yeah, let me kind of go over some of the things that kind of help paint a picture of what this Bears team is. They're not very good. Let's start with that. They're better on defense than on offense. So if you're not familiar with DVOA, Football Outsiders puts the stats out, and it's a really good general metric of how good a team is. So in terms of like offensive DVOA, they are ranked 27th in the NFL offensively. So that's an all-around picture of how they are offensively. Defensively, they're ranked 19th, which is a little bit better.
Yeah.
In terms of rushing versus passing, they are much better rushing the ball. They are 8th in the NFL in rushing yards per game with 126.3. And they're 32nd, last in the NFL in terms of passing yards with 169.8. Yeah. And, the Cardinals are 10th in rushing, so we're only 2 spots behind them in rank, and we're 9th in passing. On the defensive side of the ball, again, they're a little bit better. They're 10th in defensive yards per game allowed, but the Cardinals are 5th, so the Cardinals are still better. They are better, like the Cardinals, they are better against the pass. They're 8th against the pass and 22nd against the rush in terms of yards per game. So as bad as this Cardinals run defense has been, the Bears actually give up a few more yards per game than the Cardinals do against the run. Now, some of that's game script. When you get up in games, teams abandon the run. So I think the Cardinals' run defense might still be worse. Teams don't run as much when we get ahead. Bears haven't been ahead as much. So, really in most things you look at, the Cardinals have an advantage against the Bears, especially on offense.
Yeah, I agree, man. And with the whole rain situation that's going on right now, I hope we do see James Conner a lot. Obviously, I want everybody to stay healthy because when rain happens, a lot of slips, a lot of things get twisted, and we definitely don't want any of that stuff to be situated here. But let's talk about the defense, our defense here. Let's give some predictions. Let's do some bold predictions here. Let's do that. Bold prediction time. If you can give me one bold prediction on the defensive side of the ball, what would that be in this game?
Bold prediction. I think let's go with 3 interceptions against Andy Dalton.
Oh, okay. All right, so I will go with. I like pressure. I
Yeah.
like pressure. So I'm going to go with Chandler Jones is coming back. He's not going to give us 5. He's going to give us 3 freaking sacks. And that's going to put us, so that's 8. That would be 11 sacks, right? Or am I doing my math right?
Let's see. He had 5. He had a game with 2 and a game with 1. So he's got 8.
So he would be going to 11 if he gets the 3 sacks. I say he gets 3 sacks. That's my bold prediction. Let's go on the offensive side of the ball.
Bold prediction on offense. All right, let's go with the trifectas again. James Conner, 3 total touchdowns.
Total. That's doable. That's absolute. Yeah, I can see that. Oh, that's good. Okay, so because it's raining and a lot of us suspect the run, I'm going to say Kyler Murray comes out and he basically shows everybody that he's back in the MVP race. I know missing off in like 3 games took a huge blow on Kyler Murray's look. And I'm talking about to the national media. To us as fans, he can't do anything wrong, man. He's baby Buddha. You know what I mean? But to the eyes of the national media, I think he's going to go ahead and drop 4 touchdowns on them, 2 of them to Connor. So I'll give you your 3. Nice. 1 to DeAndre Hopkins, and then we're going to get Christian Kirk involved as well. So I say 4 touchdowns over 300 yards. Woo!
I like it. Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I'm here for that.
Right, exactly. Cool, man. Let me ask you a quick question here real quick.
Yeah.
Do you play fantasy football or anything?
Oh, I do. I'm in like 3 leagues right now.
Nice. Yeah. Do you have any players that are implicating in this game?
Oh, I've got Kyler on one of my teams. I've got the Cardinals defense on a couple of my teams and Prater. So hopefully he doesn't have a game like last time. But I'm really glad to have Kyler back on that team. That's for sure.
I agree, man. I agree. I used to have Prater. It sucks because like the way I do my drafts, like I was like, oh, I'm going to go, quarterback in the 5th round, 6th round. That's usually how I do my drafts. And I'm usually pretty good in fantasy. And of course, in the 2nd round, Kyler went. And in the 3rd round, DeAndre Hopkins went. And it was like way before me. And I couldn't get it, man. None of my Cardinal players fell to me. And it was really unfortunate.
Yeah, I usually wait on quarterback. I think that's typically a smart strategy. But in this one league, I reach for Kyler. I get him like 2nd or 3rd round just because I want to have him on a team, you know?
That's exactly what happened to me too. So it kind of got sniped away from under my nose. Yeah. And I was like, dang it, I really wanted him. But I mean, obviously Kyler Murray, I do think he's going to be back into the MVP race. Let's talk a little bit about that. I know that one of the situations that we're running into right now, and I don't think Kyler really cares. It's more of a fan thing. I think if Kyler wins the MVP, he'll be like, cool, yeah, amazing. Another, trophy in my trophy case. Because this guy he's an overall athlete. But what do you think about Kyler Murray's chances in the MVP? Do you still think that's doable?
I think he would have to have a really, really tough or really good stretch, right? These last 6 games. I mean, he would need to come out guns blazing. So it's tough because like there is not right now a consensus MVP leader, I think. I mean, Matthew Stafford was maybe that leader, and then he kind of really had some rough games, some pick sixes. You could maybe say Tom Brady. He's leading the NFL with 30 touchdowns. Mahomes has had a little bit of a rough year. A lot of people like Allen, but he hasn't been amazing. So, I do think there's a chance. I mean, I think there's enough of a vacuum there in terms of there not being the one guy everyone agrees on, that if he has a really great stretch these last 6 games and if the Cardinals hold on to the number 1 seed and if they win, 14, 15 games and Kyler is awesome down the stretch, it's absolutely possible even with those 3 games. But it is an uphill battle. And I think right now, if you ask me to predict who I think is going to win, I actually think it's going to – right now, I would say Tom Brady, leading the league, 30 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, hasn't missed games. Yeah. But it's there for the taking if Kyler can have a really impressive stretch here.
Yeah, we got my guy and it's always so weird saying his name here, but my guy Yo Daddy in the comments here saying Kyler, Rodgers, and is it Taylor – what's his first name?
Jonathan. Is it Jonathan Taylor from the running back for the Colts? Yeah.
Dude, that guy's having a monster season, right? Monster season. So I can see Rodgers definitely maybe getting it as well. He's the only game that really kind of impressed me against the Cardinals this year so far was that Rodgers versus Kyler Murray game. I'm gonna call a mulligan against the freaking Panthers. It happens every time. Yeah. I'm not even gonna think that it was Colt McCoy too.
Yeah. Yeah, Taylor's had an amazing year, and if you told me a non-quarterback's going to win the MVP, that's who it would be. It's they really kind of need to have two awards, like top quarterback and then top non-quarterback MVP, because quarterbacks win all the time. So I still think the betting favorites have to be quarterbacks, but you have to include Taylor in the conversation.
I agree, man. I agree. I got my guy Red Sea coming in. He says half an hour and counting, boys. Oh my goodness. Yeah. We got football back, man. I'm just super excited about it. What's the weather like in your area, man?
So where I'm at, I for anyone who doesn't know, I live in Georgia. It's right now it's pretty nice. It's like in the 40s overnight and 60s to 70s daytime is what we've got this week. So it's not as hot as Arizona, not as cold as Chicago, just right.
Yeah, that's actually sounds really, really nice. I mean, right now, obviously we start shivering when it hits like 68. We're like, oh my God, beanie weather. Let me put my hoodie on and stuff like that here in Phoenix. So that's cool, man. Sweet. All right, let's keep on taking to the comments here. I know we have a lot of people asking us for predictions. We'll get there, I promise. Yeah. We have our predictions ready to go. Let's see here. We got Dustin saying 44-year-old Tom Brady's crazy, man. It is.
I just like I'm 2 years older than Tom Brady, and I think about how I felt at 44, and I can't imagine getting hit by 300-pound guys who run a 4.9, right?
Bro, I'm 32, and I cannot carry my child for long because my back starts hurting. I'm like, he's a 12, 13-pound little baby, and my back's hurting already. I'm like, what is going on, Tom Brady?
He's impressive. I much respect for what he's managed to do in his career.
100% agree, man. 100% agree. We got Thomas Manning saying, fingers crossed, we don't have a bye week regression.
Yeah.
We both kind of got a little like, ugh. Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen either. I mean, obviously that happened last year, but we are a different team, right? Man, we've been preaching it for quite some time, and it's actually true. We're a different team than we were last year, and we don't want to speak that bad juju into the world.
Yeah, I think the veteran leadership has really helped out a lot. And here's the nice thing though, when you get a lead like the Cardinals have built up, they can endure a bye week regression. If they inexplicably lost this game, they are still sitting pretty, right?
Yeah.
To make the playoffs. So hopefully they don't. Real quick, I know you got super chat, but someone asked if this is Santa Claus's cousin. No, dude, I'm his older brother.
Exactly. Take it. That's right. Big shout out here to my guy Flash Gamer Paval. Kyler Murray hopefully gets MVP. It's going to be Bills versus Cliff for Coach of the Year. Taylor's offensive player of the year. Okay, gotcha. Now that he brought something up very, very like that kind of sparked my memory. Do you remember the story that was going around very, very recent about Cliff Kingsbury? What do you feel about that?
The OU story?
Yep.
In fact, I had a live stream where I talked about it a bit last week. I think he is deftly and smartly posturing for a bigger contract with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
He didn't completely shoot it down. He didn't really address it, but he didn't say completely no. He just said, I don't want to talk about it right now. Right. There's all the contract implications. He has another year on his contract. I think the Cardinals have an option year, if I'm not mistaken, with him. So getting out of that contract, it's not a definite no. It's just tricky if the team is willing to let a guy go. Some teams will say, no, you're under contract. We're not, you don't have to stay here, but you're not going to be able to coach anywhere else until your contract's over. And some teams say, you know what? If you want to go, we're not going to stop you. Right. And we don't want the PR hit of people looking bad for not letting you coach somewhere. But he's making Cliff is making $5.5 million, I think, a year. He's the 11th highest paid coach in the NFL. The top paid coaches in college were making in the $9 million a year, but some of these new contracts like Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley are 10 to 12 million or more plus. Ooh. Plus, did you see Lincoln Riley, what he's getting? Like 10 to 12 million. They're buying his home, both of his homes in Oklahoma for $500,000 over market value. They're buying him at I think $3 million, $6 million home in LA, and he gets 24/7 use of the private jet. These, and then Brian Kelly SU is getting 11 or 12 million. So Listen, there is a lot of money to be made if you were recruited as a coach there. So I think what he's doing is he's looking at that and seeing what's going on, and he's just smartly, he and his agent are leveraging it so that he can get. And I think the Cardinals, should pay him and give him a pay raise, give him an extension, pay him, $9-10 million a year, keep him around.
I think after this season, I'm gonna make a video saying Cliff Kingsbury is the best coach, the best coach in the NFC West.
Well, like going into this year, like people kept saying he was the worst coach in the NFC West, right?
Well,
You okay? I
Just
wasn't
say
going
it, man.
Okay. Well, other folks too. I've heard it elsewhere. And listen, you and I have fun, and we kind of rib each other a little bit. And I've given you a little crap over the season. Anytime, like, hey, who was my stud of the week for this game?
Right.
Cliff Kingsbury, right, Mike?
You remember that little? Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was wrong. Yeah.
But I also know you'll take that if it means they're winning, right?
100%.
So, it's nice to be proven wrong in that way, right?
Yes, 100%. Now I do got a really cool comment here from my guy Tim. Is it Cancilia? Hopefully I didn't butcher that. He says AZ Sports FM reported GM says Cliff's new contract is a high priority list in the offseason today.
Nice.
So they actually addressed it today. And whatever thing they leaked out, if it was a publicity stunt, if it was something to scare the Cardinals, it worked because we're already thinking about wrapping up Cliff Kingsbury, and honestly, I don't blame him, man.
Yeah, for sure. And I heard him on the AZ. I listened to it streaming AZ Sports, and they interviewed him last week, and it was Gambo and whoever his sidekick is now. I know he goes through sidekicks, but anyway, they asked him if they're looking to re-sign him right now, and he said, "Well, right now we're all really busy with week-to-week work." So but that comment is Tim saying is in the off season it's their top priority. So I don't think it gets done before the season ends,
right?
But in the off season, I think they get in there and they hash it out.
100% agree. Yeah, I think that's definitely a top priority that they are going to do it in the off season, which, hey, man, that's great because we're going to see a lot of news this off season. And that's going to be who are we going to retain in our team?
Yeah.
Do you think Kyler Murray is going to go for or try to get an extension this off season, or you think he's going to be awesome and give us one more year?
No, you know what though? Here's the deal. Like I know, like I get where you're going with that. It's like the thought is, well, let's keep him on that rookie contract one more year longer. But there is a wisdom to signing him to that extension sooner because going rate for that quarterback, like the price tag for a quarterback goes up every 3 months, right? And if you know that guy's the guy, lock him in a year early and get it. What are we going to have to pay him? Like $30 million a year? I don't even know what it's at right now. But like if we wait an extra year, it might be $45 million a year. You know what I'm saying? Like so. If he waits another year, I don't know that he's doing us a favor. He might be doing himself a favor.
That's actually not thinking about. You're right. Well, actually, not thinking about. Yeah, I honestly think it's 30 plus, man. I think it's 35 plus that he's going to be getting. Honestly, Now, I don't think a Patrick Mahomes type of deal. 12 years is a little.
That was
like
a weird deal,
contract,
right?
Man.
10 years.
Yeah,
that deal was weird.
If we can sign Kyler, man, what would you give him? You're the GM. Put your GM hat on. What would you give Kyler in terms of years, not salary, years?
That's a good question. Okay, because I don't know when the collective bargaining agreement runs through. I wish I did off the top of my head, but I would sign him I wouldn't sign him too many years because you just never know with injuries. But I would sign him through until as many years as I can within reason, somewhere in the 4 to 6 year range, and keep an eye on that collective bargaining agreement because. Or I should say the collective bargaining agreement and the TV deals, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have an idea if you can look at where that money is going to be heading towards and what salary caps are potentially going to look like, you can make some smarter decisions. But I would sign him at least 4 years and maybe more like 5 years.
Yeah, I like the 5.
Yeah,
I think the 5 would be my ideal for sure. I do have somebody in the comments saying Kyler is not settling for $35 million a year.
He might not. And
I mean, hey, whatever it takes, man. Kyler's the dude, right? I mean, obviously I have a little bobblehead and I got his rookie cards right there. So he's the guy that I'm going to be rolling with, man. He's proven some good stuff. The only quarterback that has after Palmer.
Well, like, this is the best quarterback the Cardinals have ever drafted that I've seen, like in my lifetime, right?
He's the best
We,
team
we
that I've ever seen in my lifetime in general, man. This team is amazing.
This is the best Cardinals team I've seen too, I think.
I agree. Big shout out to Red C. He says all Joe would have to do is shave his
Santa You know, those two really damn good looking guys, apparently.
There you go. There you go. I love it.
Listen, I'm gonna lean into that stuff.
Take it in, man. Take it in. Cool. Appreciate the super chat, man. We got people saying they think 39 to 42 million. Oh my God.
You know, and if that's what you know what, pay him what the going rate is at the time, because a year later it's going to be 5 to 7 million more.
True.
You know? But you know, you talk about that brings some tough decisions, right? Because look, the guys are going to have to look to re-sign, right? At the point that they have backed up the Brinks truck and paid Kyler, they are then going to have to make decisions about guys like Chandler Jones. You know, they're going to make a decision about AJ Green next year, James Conner, right?
Yeah.
Byron Murphy's going to be due for contract. We know Christian Kirk this off year. Like of those 5 guys I've listed, we might only be able to bring back 2 or 3 of them.
That's the
like, so who you bring
man.
in? I know we've asked this on my channel, but like, who are you bringing back from those guys? Who are you re-signing from? Like Murphy, like let's say Murphy, Watt, AJ Green, Connor, Christian Kirk, Chandler Jones. Those 6 guys, if you can get 2 or 3 of them, who are you bringing back?
Murray and Murphy.
Okay, so Murray obviously worked, but so Murphy.
Oh, gotcha.
Murphy, yeah. Assuming we signed Kyler Murray. Right?
Oh, gotcha. So Murphy, I would get Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even put Ertz in there.
Yeah, that's right. Ertz. So let's say you can keep 3 of those 7, right?
Yeah, I would say Murphy, Ertz. I want to say Connor's so freaking bad, but just the running back situation that we have right now. Give me Connor. Give me Connor. I would say those 3. So Murphy, Connor, and
Ertz.
Yep.
If I'm probably going with those 2. If I can get a 4th one, maybe Christian Kirk. But then Jalen Thompson at some point. I mean,
I don't think
they're going to be able to keep. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I don't think he would be like a big money. He definitely. I would sign him at a heartbeat. I don't think he'd be big money. Do you think?
I think when it comes time, it depends what you mean by big money. But I don't think he's not going to get Buda Baker money, but he's going to command a good salary. I mean, he's been a really good player for them. He's getting some recognition. So, I mean, they'll be able to sign some of those guys, but they won't be able to keep them all, and that's the tough part about how this goes.
Well, Steve Keim's got a tough job to do this offseason, man. I'm excited to see what's going to happen, who's going to remain as our team, but we got to stay focused and win the Super Bowl this year so we don't have to freaking worry about next year.
Right.
All right, man. Let's get to the spot here. Obviously, I want to make sure that we at least have 15 minutes before the game starts. So you can get your popcorn, you can get your breakfast, whatever you need to do, drinks. Let's get to our predictions. This is going to be our predictions, and guys in the comments below here, put your predictions in the comments as well, and we'll shout you guys out. But do you want to go with your prediction first? And I got your banner set up.
Sure. Yeah. So I think the Cardinals are going to come out a little bit rusty. Kyler's going to need at least a first quarter, if not first half, to kind of get his footing. And I think they're going to go win 27-14. I think that they outmatched the Bears significantly. I think between the weather and Kyler being rusty, I don't think they're going to put up the 30 plus that we're used to from them when they're healthy, but I think they still win by a healthy margin.
All right, perfect. I got to back up my bold prediction. And I'm going to go 34 to 31. I guess my prediction doesn't work here. Okay. 5 times 7 be 35. So that really wouldn't work. But anyways, so 34-21 is my prediction. I do think that the Cardinals will come out here and win. Obviously, the Cardinals are the far superior team on the roster, defensively, offensively. So I hope that everything kind of goes smoothly and the Cardinals come out of this game healthy, because it looks like it's going to be a rainy one.
So let me ask you, where are those 21 points the Bears coming from? And I know that sounds like such a troll kind of thing. A Bears fan hearing that is going to be like,
all pissed. What?
Yeah.
So
where are those points coming from?
I think Mooney is going to get a touchdown, a receiving touchdown. And I do think that it can be a split between Montgomery or Herbert. or Khalil is Herbert, right? Khalil
Yep.
Herbert. Yeah, I think it's going to be a touchdown each rushing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You know,
I
it's
feel like
interesting
Andy.
because
Oh, my bad.
I was just saying, for as bad as the Cardinals' rush defense has been, they've actually been really good on goal line stands. I mean, they've had given up a few. They haven't given up a ton of rushing touchdowns compared to other teams. So that'd be a good game for the Bears offensively. Obviously, defensively, it wouldn't
right. Exactly. All right, man. Well, it's absolutely been a pleasure having you on here, talking this pregame, man. Just gets me super hyped up. I'm ready to see some Cardinals versus Bears. Hopefully, we have a very, very good. After 3 hours, we're all happy is what I'm trying
to say. Yes. No, I appreciate the invite to be here. It's always good hanging out with you, and I'm glad to hang out with you anytime you've got a spot for me.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you so very much, everybody. You can find the Cardinal Rule. It's going to be in the description of this video. You need to just click on it and go ahead. And he just recently got, just recently, right? 2K?
Yeah, like last week, 2,000 subscribers.
Congrats,
so
bro. Congrats,
and
brother.
you hit 8K, so
I did. It's so weird because I looked at yours. You're a 2.1, right?
2.1, yeah, like 2013.
Oh, okay.
2.01. So 2013.
2.01. Gotcha. Because I feel like this one of these last videos, like this week, man, has been very, very crazy for Cardinal fans, man. They're feeling the hype right now, and not only that, the Suns, man. I'm not sure if you're following the Suns.
Oh, I'm a huge Suns fan. I mean, I just do Cardinals content on my channel, but I've been a Suns fan since Kevin Johnson, Tom Chambers days. So it's the best team in both leagues, right?
It's amazing, man. I love that meme of Spider-Man where they're just like
I saw that.
It's amazing, brother. All right, man. As always, have a great rest of your day, man. And as always, go Cards.